You don't never need help from nobody else. All you got to do now, express yourself. Whatever you do, do it good. Whatever you do, Lord, Lord, do it good. Alright. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you're doing when you're doing what you look like you're doing. Express yourself. Express yourself. They're doing it on the moon, y'all. In the jungle too. Everybody on the floor now, jumping like a kangaroo. So let the horn do the thing they do, y'all. Some people have everything and other people don't. But everything don't mean a thing if it ain't the thing you want. Express yourself. Express yourself. Oh, do it. Oh, do it. Do it to it. Go on and do it. Y'all do it. Get it. Express yourself. Express yourself.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest Lab Elite workshop, Build a Bot in Facebook Messenger with MiniChat. That's not the actual title, but that's what it's about, and that's what we're doing. If you don't know me already, I'm Jenna Snavely, content producer here at Digital Marketer, and if this is your first time joining us for Workshop Live, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're glad that you're here. If this is your second or third or 10th time, we're glad you're back, and we all know this is going to be a lot of work. This is going to be a long day, so I hope you guys are ready to dig in. This is going to be recorded, and it will be up inside your lab members dashboard within 24 hours. If you are watching us live, there is a live chat where everyone's talking and asking questions, and it's going to be really active today. So if you are watching, it's on your top right-hand side of your screen, a little chat bubble icon. You'll have to sign into live stream, and then from there, that's where we'll be. I am your voice today, so if you have questions in the live stream for Molly, that's what I'm here for, and I'll make sure that you're able to get those questions answered. And if they aren't answered, don't forget you have a full 10-day execution cycle, which means there's so much opportunity to get clarity within the Q&A call, the Elite Critique, all that good stuff, and of course throughout the Elite Commons. With that being said, please welcome the one and only, the amazing Molly Pittman.
Woo! thanks guys. How's it going? Good, good. Which cameras am I looking at? Either? Okay, cool. Hey, everybody on live stream. Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Who's excited to build some bots today?
Yes.
Cool. Who's built a bot before here in the audience? Okay, awesome. So the beginning of this will probably be information you've heard before, but I just want to make sure everyone understands this from A to Z. So this is build an engaging Facebook Messenger bot that converts. And the agenda today, as always with these workshops, is split into 4 parts. So the first part is all about Facebook Messenger bots, what and why. The second part is how to build a bot. Part 3 is building your acquisition bot. And part 4 is building your monetization bot. So the morning will be a bit more content heavy, and then this afternoon's gonna be a ton of examples and you guys doing a little bit of work. How does that sound? Cool, alrighty. Oh, that's fancy. Okay, so here's a taste of what we'll be covering. What are messenger bots and why should I use them? This is obviously a really new topic. It's only been around about 2 years in terms of Facebook Messenger and the ability to build bots or leverage Facebook Messenger as a marketing channel. So there's a little bit of background we'll need to cover so everyone's on the same page. We'll go through what makes a compelling messenger conversation. So this has been a big hiccup that I've seen for a lot of people with building bots. They understand how to technically build it, but they're forgetting that they're trying to facilitate an actual conversation, right? So it's even more than writing good copy. We're gonna talk about what makes a really good conversation in Messenger. Then we'll go into how do I build a bot and drive traffic to them. We will talk about the rules and regulations about Facebook Messenger. I get a lot of questions about that and they're constantly changing, so I want to make sure that you guys know the rules. And then we'll go into strategies for acquisition of new conversations, leads, and customers through bots, strategies for re-engagement of existing leads and customers through bots. And you're gonna see a ton of examples. So again, the goal is really to spend the morning making sure we're all on the same page. This is a bit different than like Russ's workshop with the blog post or even Susie's, because bots, and especially when we get into the nitty-gritty, can kind of feel language. So if I go into using all of these terms that you don't understand, it's going to be pretty confusing. So we've got to learn that first, and then we'll go into the tactical stuff. Does that make sense to you guys? Sound good? Alrighty, so here's who will benefit the most from the workshop. Entrepreneurs, business owners, you know, if you're marketing focused and you're looking to leverage Facebook Messenger in your business. Definitely marketing professionals if you work for someone else. That's really how I first started learning about bots, was when I was working here at Digital Marketer. Back in November of 2016, Facebook released Messenger ads as an ad type and really opened Messenger up as a marketing platform. And as soon as I started testing Messenger ads, I quickly realized that you kind of needed a bot to make that happen. So that's how I came across this back when they opened up the Messenger platform in November of 2016. Freelancers and solos, if you do this for other people, if you have an agency, I'm starting to see a lot of people building bot agencies or adding bots as a service to their digital marketing agency, which is really cool. So here's who will benefit, but I'm sure even if you're not this person, you'll get something out of this. So really the goal of this is I want you to build 2 bot campaigns today. So we'll go more into exactly what that looks like, but I really want to focus on building a bot. And just FYI guys, the plan is for you guys to leave with the worksheet filled out of your bot, you know, sketched out and strategized. I don't expect for you to actually build it on the computer while you're here.
No worksheets.
Worksheets. Sorry about that, guys. So, I don't want you to have to spend time clicking buttons while we're having this workshop, but I definitely want you to leave with the worksheet completed, which is basically a planning sheet for these two bots. So the goal is for you to build a bot that will help your business or a client's business with acquiring new customers, new Messenger subscribers, and also build a bot for monetization and re-engagement purposes, people who have already engaged with your business before. So really two different goals. They'll probably be pretty similar in structure, but just understanding that these two bots have different goals in your business. Does that make sense? Awesome. So Facebook Messenger bots, the what and the why. So this is part one. So I think there's a big misconception around bots and what they are in terms of right now at this time, what can a bot do, right? Or what even is a bot? A lot of people think that a bot is like a little bobblehead, like a person who, very similar to AI, where you could ask the bot any question and it answers, right? Like, hey bot, what's your favorite color? Green. That definitely exists in a lot of forums and has for years, but that's not what we're talking about today in regards to Facebook Messenger bots, right? These are not intuitive creatures that are going to replace your employees or come up with answers to certain questions. Does that make sense to you guys? I just want to cover that because I think a lot of people have a misconception about what this is. So what they really are, and this is a screenshot from ManyChat, which is the tool that I'm going to reference throughout this presentation. They're one of my clients, just to be forthcoming too, but really my job at ManyChat is to educate people. So it's a great relationship because I get a bunch of cool data and insight into where the industry is going, and we're able to I'm able to educate the market about how to use the tool. So ManyChat is a software, and there are others out there, like ChatFuel. There are a few different options. ManyChat has just always been my favorite. I used it before they were a client of mine. But really what these tools are going to allow you to do in terms of bot building is really similar to, for example, building like an email automation campaign in a CRM, right? So you can see here on the screen, and you don't need to be able to read the text, but you can see this is a flow of what's going to happen when someone starts engaging with this bot, right? Depending on what they click, they'll get certain tags, they'll be sent certain messages. So this is something that we have to build. Again, the bot is not intuitive, but this is really similar to building an automation campaign. So just a good way to think about it. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, awesome. So really chatbots, in the form that they are now, this definitely won't be the case in 5 years or so. But right now, think about chatbots as the automation of certain messages and triggers that allow us to deploy messenger marketing strategies, right? So chatbots are the tool, the automation of really what you want this person to experience. And messenger marketing is the channel, right? So messenger marketing is really the act of using these different messenger apps to connect with your audience. So I think that's really important to put out there. You'll hear me reference messenger marketing, you'll hear me reference chatbots. Think about messenger marketing as like the road that allows you to get to your customer, and the bot is the car that's driving you there, right? It's the thing. Messenger marketing is the channel. I'm gonna talk mostly about Facebook Messenger today because as it stands, it's really the most powerful messenger channel in terms of our ability to market, and it's on the Facebook platform, which we all love. But these strategies that I'm teaching, and even ManyChat as a tool, in the next few years won't just be Facebook Messenger, right? There are a lot of other messengers out there. There's WhatsApp, there's WeChat, there's Apple Messages. So the strategies that I'm teaching now will of course have different nuances as we start to be able to market on those platforms, hopefully. But the strategy is really similar. Does that make sense to you guys? Awesome. So why is this important? I think that when this whole idea came around 2 years ago, it sort of appeared as a shiny object because everyone got really pumped about it. But this isn't important because it's something cool and new for me to talk to you about, or digital marketer to be able to create content on a new topic. This is important because this is a really integral part of our society, right? Something like Facebook Messenger is a platform that, especially in the United States, most humans are using to communicate with family, friends, colleagues, right? And as marketers, we know that it's our job to have the conversation that our audience, that our market wants to have in the place they want to have it, right? Like, we don't get to decide where we market. We market where our prospects and our customers are. So that is really why this is so important. I think that we're riding a really huge wave in digital marketing, probably the biggest since email marketing in terms of a communication channel. And you're gonna hear me compare Messenger to email a lot throughout the day. And the reason for that is that it's the closest thing that I have to reference. But as I'm going to explain in a bit, they're very different, right? So you'll hear me reference a lot so that we can be on the same page. But keep in mind, throughout today, email and Messenger are very different, and we will definitely dive into this. Who remembers AOL Messenger? Yeah, AIM. I think my screen name was Soccer Rules 5. That was pretty cool. But it's funny, when I was thinking about Messenger in a really broad sense, this really quick back and forth, instantaneous type of platform. Sorry, I have a cord coming out. This isn't new, right? Like, we have been instant messaging for over 20 years, and AIM was one of the first platforms that we used, right? So it's interesting to think about, yes, this is new in terms of us being able to market on Facebook Messenger and these chatbots, but from a consumer standpoint and us as humans actually being used to this type of channel, this has been around for a pretty long time. And people are very familiar with how you communicate through a Messenger app. And that's why it's so important, and you'll hear me reiterate this throughout the day, that we emulate, as marketers and business owners, we emulate and fit into the channel, right? And we communicate in a way that they're already communicating in Messenger, because this is what people, this is what they're used to. This is important also. Now this stat is almost 2 billion. This was from April of 2017, but they haven't made a pretty new graph yet. But Facebook Messenger has over 2 billion with a B, active monthly users. That's insane. That's a lot of people. There are more people using Messenger, actually, than even use the actual Facebook app, the news feed. They're two different apps. Messenger actually just, you obviously have to have a Facebook account to use Messenger, right? But there are a lot of people who aren't even using the normal app. They're just using Messenger to communicate. So the amount of people using this platform is insane, right? I mean, we think about Facebook ads and who we're able to reach in the newsfeed. It's really powerful, a lot of people. And this is even more. And those are monthly active users, right? They didn't just sign up once and never used it again. They're actively using this platform. Again, it just shows you how important this is of a channel to tap into, because this is where the people are hanging out. This was a really cool stat that I heard at F8 last month. Facebook said that the number of consumer to business messages, so me messaging Nike or messaging a restaurant to ask what their hours are, has increased from 2 billion messages to 8 billion messages in the past year. So it's not just and also, I don't have a slide for this, but the amount of bots or businesses using Messenger for marketing have increased from 100,000 to 300,000. So it's not just more marketers using the platform, it's also, this shows the pulse that consumers are the ones reaching out to businesses, and that's the biggest growth stat. This blew my mind. But really, not only the amount of people using Messenger, but the amount of people using Messenger with the expectation that they want to speak to a brand. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Like, who likes to call people on the phone anymore, right? I mean, some people do, but I rarely answer my phone. I don't really care to talk on the phone to a brand. I dread calling a brand if they don't have an email or some sort of chat support, because you're gonna, wait on hold, and it just takes time. Messenger is so much easier, right? It gives them that instantaneous outlet. Even if you're not responding immediately as a brand, if you have a little bot built and they feel heard and they know that you're going to get back to them as soon as possible, that task is now checked off their list, right? So much easier to message a business and communicate with a business through Messenger than on the phone or even email. It's just a lot quicker. Just a few other points I wanted to make to really get you in the right mindset for this about why Messenger is so important. Email is really crowded. You guys know that as digital marketers. Email isn't dead. Email is still incredibly powerful, and it will be. But email's been around a long time. Almost every brand, one of the first questions, when you're talking to a brand about their email marketing, they're like, my list size is, this. They're talking about their email list, right? That's the most important asset to most businesses still. Email is very powerful, but it's incredibly crowded, right? And it's not that, people ask me a lot, Molly, do you think that Messenger will become crowded? And when we get to the rules and regulations, you'll see that Facebook's been really smart to make sure that your Facebook Messenger inbox as a consumer doesn't turn into your email inbox, right? Really only being able to receive messages from people brands you're actually interacting with and you want to hear from. So email is crowded. That's why you're seeing open rates from Messenger in 70, 80, 90%. I'll show you a client of mine who on day 6 of a sequence, the open rate of the message is over 90%. And that's because you're right there on their phone, right? Most people have push notifications enabled for Messenger, and you're messaging someone, most of them probably haven't engaged with more than 5 brands before on Messenger yet, right? And you're right there in a prime spot where you know that message is going to be open because it's not a platform that's crowded by other brands. So again, email is still wonderful. It's just crowded, and Messenger is an opportunity to, it's really, especially now, to hop in and be one of the first brands in your space that talks to consumers through Messenger. People are tired of opting in on landing pages. So you're seeing in different industry reports the average conversion rate of a landing page and opt-in. You send a click over to a page, you give them something in exchange for their email address, their phone number. Again, still a really powerful tactic, right? It's just people are becoming, they're used to it. They're tired of it, right? Like, people want things so fast now, right? Think about our world. Really things now are about convenience. It's why we have apps that deliver groceries. It's sadly why we're destroying our planet in a lot of ways. But it's like everything is leaning towards convenience, and people are expecting this instantaneous, this gratification. They want it now. So even going over to a page, it's like, oh, they're gonna ask for my email address, right? I was with my grandmother the other day, and she ended up on a landing page, and she was like, oh, they're asking for my email address again. You know, she's 75 years old, and she knows the trick, right? And I didn't tell her that. But again, it's not that this tactic doesn't work, it's just getting a bit tired, it's a bit outdated in my opinion. Opting into Messenger is way easier than email. So for those of you guys that don't know, you're actually building a Messenger subscriber list inside of Facebook. Yes, it is owned by Facebook, right? Like your pixeled audience. But it's a really powerful asset for your business. And really all someone has to do to opt in to your Messenger list is engage with you on Messenger, right? They just have to, really click a button. Say they clicked on an ad, you ask them a question, they answer that question. We'll go through all of that. They're now a subscriber, right? So there's no putting your email address in. Facebook already knows their first and last name, knows their phone number, definitely knows their email. We'll talk more about that. So the opting in process from the consumer side is so much easier, right? Again, you'll hear this theme throughout today, but this stuff works because it is what's easiest and best for the consumer, right? As marketers, I've seen a lot of entitlement from marketers in the past year or so, especially around things like Facebook, right? It's like, oh, Facebook changed their algorithm and I'm not getting organic reach. Like, I'm angry at them, this is terrible. And I totally understand, that's really frustrating, and people have spent time to develop these strategies. But what we have to realize as marketers is we go where the puck is going, right? This isn't about us, this is about the consumer. And for example, Facebook ran studies that showed that it was unhealthy for people who use Facebook, which is most humans. It was unhealthy for us psychologically to see as many posts from brands as we were seeing. So Facebook made decisions like that because it's what's best for their end user, right? Their end user isn't us as marketers. Their end user are the people who are actually using the platform, because if they go away, there's no one to advertise to, right? So Facebook and these different platforms are taking care of their customers like I hope we all do, right? And making decisions that are best for them. I went on a little tangent there, but I think what's important here is this isn't about what's easy for us. This is about what's easiest for our customers and our prospects and the consumers. Does that make sense to you guys? So another point I want to make, and this isn't always the case, but about 75% of the time, I see that when running ads to Messenger, right? We'll go over this, but you can run an ad in your news feed. So this is an ad from HubSpot. You'll see the full sequence later, but they're promising this virtual event. When you click on this ad, instead of going over to a landing page and filling out all your information, which HubSpot asks you 15 questions now, it opens in Messenger, right? Facebook loves that because you're not sending them off to an external URL. They're staying in the Facebook ecosystem. So usually you will see that ads with the destination of Messenger versus a website are a lot cheaper because Facebook's going to reward you for that, and they know that they'll make more ad revenue in the long run because you kept them there in Facebook. Does that make sense to you guys? Really important to keep in mind. Completely mobile optimized, I still see a lot of pages out there, guys, that are not mobile optimized. It's 2018. And I know it's hard, but it's really frustrating. I'm sure you guys have clicked on a ton of things on your phone that you can't even opt into if you wanted to because you can't find the form. Messenger is naturally completely mobile optimized. It's an app, right? So there's no figuring out how you're gonna make sure that your page is mobile optimized. This is really cool. So you get all of their real data and more of it. Don't email Joe. I should have blurred out his email. But what Facebook's, when we sign up for Facebook, we're giving them at least our first name, last name. I think they ask for phone number. I can't remember. Definitely email address. And you know that the email address that consumers are giving to Facebook, it's not a fake email, right? It's not test@test.com or yousuck@gmail.com. You guys have seen those come through your opt-in pages. Yeah, right? And this is pretty new in the last few months to where what's always been the case that when someone opts in when they start engaging with you on Messenger, you automatically get their first name, last name, you get their profile picture, you get their gender. There's one other data point I can't remember. But what's cool is that Facebook's starting to get really intuitive about what bots are asking. So there's a pretty new feature where, as a brand, you can ask for the email address, which is still very valuable, right? And as soon as the brand asks for the email, the consumers there, on their phone, there's a little quick reply button there that is hanging out over their keyboard. So they don't have to type their email address. It's literally just one click. And so that's making it a lot easier for us to collect not only more data, because more people are gonna click than type out their email, but actually a good email address, right? So this is really powerful because we're getting to leverage Facebook. It's not just whatever someone decides to type into to a landing page. Any questions so far, guys? Feel free to interrupt me, by the way. Yeah, I know.
So question on that, so most people's Facebook page probably have their...
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm already not following the rules. Uh-oh. And I'm breaking.
So I would guess that most people's Facebook page has a personal email address in it, and if you're doing B2B, what's your take on that? Because ultimately, so if I have a B2B client, they're going to say, I really want their business address.
Yeah, you could just say, what's the best email? Facebook's probably going to populate your personal email, but I would love your business address. And then they can just manually type it in.
Okay.
So just be forthcoming about it if that's what you want. Because yeah, most of these are going to be personal emails. Yeah. Good question. Should I take that back now? Okay. Yeah.
You don't have to every time, but.
Okay.
I have a question from inside the house.
The computer.
Inside the computer. It's coming from
Hi,
inside.
all the people in the computer.
So they're kind of asking what the difference is between building your subscriber list and then when you would want to get an email. So kind of like which you do when, or are you just building this messenger list?
Great question. Which do you do when? I'll get to and show you a lot of different scenarios for that. But the thing to keep in mind with building your subscriber list, building your email list, you obviously want to do both if you can, right? Even before Messenger, we wanted email address. We wanted them to like us on Facebook, you subscribe to YouTube. Like you're always trying to diversify your traffic as a marketer. I lost myself there. Oh, yes. Okay, so you definitely want to do both when you can. But there are some nuances. I've seen a lot of marketers, for example, like promise a lead magnet, let's say in an ad, and they'll say, click here, download it in Messenger. Well, then the first thing they say is, what's your email address, right? With no other context. And again, thinking about it from the end user, it's like, you told me you were gonna give this to me in Messenger. Like, why are you asking for my email address, right? You can and you should ask for the email address. It's all about how you position it, right? There needs to be a benefit or a reason that you're asking for their email address, not just you trying to collect data. So I'll show you some good examples of that.
Perfect.
Does that make sense? Cool. Building a bot is much easier, quicker than building a traditional web sales funnel. There are some nuances to it, but I can build something like this in like 10 minutes now, and I'm in no way technical at all. Have never even tried to do like ClickFunnels, like barely could use Power Editor. There's definitely some things to learn, which you'll learn most of it today, but this is really easy. Wouldn't you guys say it's pretty, those of you who have built bots, like this is as easy as it can get. in terms of building something that's like a sales funnel. And at the end of last year, ManyChat rolled out something called the Flow Builder, which allows you to visually see everything at once versus trying to individually create the sequence. So you're able to see everything from a bird's eye view, which makes it really similar to a CRM or an ESP where you're building out automation, right? You can see everything right there. It's really easy to build. So, a bot, like here at Digital Marketer, when we used to want to run a test, right? I'm sure it's much more efficient now, but it's like, okay, we want to do this new thing. Oh, we need to build a funnel. Okay, it'll be a week, right? Just because, it needs to go back to dev and there's so many moving pieces. I couldn't just sit down and build a funnel, And so this is so much easier because you're way more agile. It's like, great, we want to do this. Let's have it done in an hour. And there's no coding, there's no tech experience needed. So a huge benefit and something to keep in mind, especially when you're thinking about Messenger and chatbots. They're just another channel to add to your marketing arsenal, right? You're not gonna move your whole business to Messenger. We're not doing that, right? We're just adding this as a channel in the business. But when you're thinking about something like, ooh, I wanna get this out now, right? I wanna run this test now or run this contest. Remember that Messenger is one of your most agile channels and it's one of the easiest to set up. And it's great to use for testing certain messaging or offers to your audience. So always keep that in mind. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but one of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing people make is because it is so similar, they're taking their email strategy and they're trying to plop it into Messenger, and it's absolutely not working. It's actually a nightmare. Like it's a nightmare because it's a terrible, terrible experience for the end user. And I'm going to show you a test that proves that. Please, guys, this is not email in any way, right? What's important to think about, like when I work with a client around Messenger, the conversations, most of them are like, I'll send you my best performing emails. I'm like, okay, that's helpful because I will know what topics your audience loves, right? Like that's just gonna give me data about, okay, you're selling cars, and when you talk about this type of car, or I don't know, that's a bad example, but you guys get what I mean. Like if we're selling diet plans or something, whenever we talk about bananas, people really like that. That is good to note and say, okay, well, if they like that topic through email, they're probably gonna like that topic through Messenger, right? Like same topic, same conversation in their head, it just has to be presented in a much different way. Does that make sense to you guys? So you don't have to totally redo your marketing strategy, right? We can use marketing assets you already have, talk about the same stuff you've always talked about, Noah, and we just need to do it in a little bit of a different way. So this was really interesting. So at ManyChat, we ran a test. So when you build this subscriber list, you can send out broadcasts to this subscriber list, very similar to email, right? An email broadcast, send it to your whole list, send it to just people with this tag, whatever you want to do, you can send broadcast. So I wanted to test something to try to prove this, but in a data way. And so what we did is we sent 2 different broadcasts. These were both to blog posts, like a new piece of content that was coming out. So the first blog post, or the first broadcast that we sent, is this one, which very much emulates more of an email style. Like it's long, we're talking at them, right? In email, a lot of times you're talking one to many, right? It's very different, even though it's, hey, Omari, because they've got first name in there. It's like, it's one to many. This is, hey, Molly, have a lot of questions when it comes to Messenger. You're not alone. You can get the updated scoop. Here's what you'll learn. This is really good copy. There's nothing wrong with the copy. This is just an email, right? This is long form. This is absolutely not personal. We're not asking them anything. So we tested this against this. Hi, Molly. What are you looking forward to this week? Nothing to do with Messenger, just it feels like something that if I got a message from you, you would probably say, "What's up? How are you?" Sounds like a person. "Hey, Molly, what are you looking forward to this week? Want a quick 7-step action plan for diving into messenger marketing?" Right? Really simple, more question-based. This is about them. We're asking them what they want. We're not just sending this, "Go do this." We're giving them an option, right? Think about that psychologically as a consumer. This is so much easier to digest. So when we ran this, you will see that the click-through rate increased 2.5 times when we went from this long one to the shorter one. So the one at the top there is the longer one. So you can see that the click-through rate over here of people who actually went over to that blog post is 1.9%. You'll see the click-through rate down here is 5%. So we've run other tests since this, and it shows the same thing every time. When you do something shorter and more conversational, people are just going to engage. Does that make sense to you guys? It's really basic, but it's one of the biggest things people screw up on because we're not used to writing like this. Like, as a marketer, what other platform do we have we had to do this before? Like, I can't think of one. And that's why I believe we'll start to see bot copywriters, right? Like, that's going to be a thing. It's becoming a thing because it's a very different way of writing copy than you would write on a sales page or that you would write in an email. So just to really show you, and we'll talk more about this, leave that to email, right? Stick with shorter messages that really make them feel like you're their friend, Any questions about that? Cool. So quickly, let's go through 5 elements of a great messenger conversation. So I just want to go through, how do you do this, right? And this is something I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to teach. And I think we'll come up with, as time goes on, we'll come up with some more concrete ways to teach you guys this type of copywriting. Something that I saw the other day, there was a guy who was showing me how he writes copy for bots. And what he does is he writes it like a text messaging conversation. So he actually lays it out on a piece of paper and writes what the consumer would say back. It sounds silly, but it allows him to make sure that he's writing in this way. So I think we'll develop more systematic, structured ways to teach this type of copywriting, but I thought that was really smart because it allows you to see it. Like, when you're looking at this in terms of the big, funnel that I was showing you, you're not really looking at the copy. But if you're looking at the copy and you actually write it out for yourself and more of a back and forth conversation on a piece of paper, that could really help you guys. Does that make sense? And even when you do this, give it to a friend and be like, "Does this make sense?" Or how would they answer it, right? Ask them questions, see how they would answer. Really spend time figuring out what you're saying in these bots, and we'll talk more about that. But some other things I wanted to tell you guys about. So 5 elements of a great messenger conversation. This is huge. The conversation must help the consumer make progress in their life. So something that we all want as humans is to make progress. That's why you guys are here. That's why you're watching. You want to make progress in your business. You want to learn something new. We're all programmed that way, or most of us are. And it's why Messenger is so powerful, because it can kind of be like a choose your own adventure type of experience where, again, email is very much one-to-many. Most sales funnels, web funnels online are really generic unless you're looking at a quiz funnel, right? Why are quizzes so powerful? Why does BuzzFeed have which Disney princess are you? Why do people take quizzes about which Disney princess they are? It's because, I think it's because, with technology, people are becoming more disconnected with other humans, but also themselves. So they're trying to look introspectively, I think that's a word, right? But what's interesting is they're looking for other people to hold the mirror back to them to tell them more about themselves. Isn't that interesting? Think about it. The really successful companies, I've been studying a lot about this concept because I think it's fascinating and really, there are a lot of companies like Care of Vitamins. You guys should write that down. It's a vitamin company. There's nothing really special about their vitamins that I can see from the outside, but you know why they're doing so well is because it's not just, hey, here are vitamins, they're daily packs, right? A lot of companies do that. It's not just, we'll send you the vitamins, it's take this quiz, right? Let us learn about you and we'll send you bless you, we'll send you vitamin packs with your name on them that are specially customized for you, right? I'm sure there's only 5 variations or so of the vitamin pack, right? It's not like they're like, ooh, Omari, he really can't sleep. Like, we're gonna go formulate this special vitamin. Like, no, that's not happening. They just created a really cool funnel and acquisition process to where it felt very customized, right? So think about that. Customization is really huge right now. People wanting to learn more about themselves, to have customized experiences. That is really, really what consumers are engaging with online. And Messenger is the perfect platform to allow you to do that. Obviously, there's the ask method too, if any of you guys have heard about that. That was one of the earliest systems that I really studied that talked about this concept. But now Messenger allows you to take that to a whole new level. So we'll talk more about that. But you must help them make progress. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to learn more about themselves, right? Like, say we have a bot that's about fitness. I'll show you guys one in a little bit. Well, the bot shouldn't be there to tell them how great your brand is. The bot is there to ask them questions to learn more about them so that you can then recommend a product or service or whatever you're selling or a free piece of content that best suits where they are in their fitness journey, right? It's very backwards actually from like traditional sales funnels or the way that a lot of us have learned this, which is can be a big change. But I think that even outside of Messenger, a lot marketing is going this way. And really think about that in your business. Personalization, customization. How are you helping the consumer make progress? Number 2, the conversation must have an end goal for you as the marketer. So, as a marketer, I think if I would have just come into this as like, bots are cool, I wouldn't feel this way, but it's frustrating to me when I see a bot that really has no purpose, right? I don't know if you guys have seen those, but like, these should be personal, they should, they should be fun, they should be entertaining, but they also need to have a business purpose, or why are we here? So we'll talk more about that, and you'll see on the sheets for the bots we're gonna build, that's the first question that I ask, because I don't want you guys to just build a bot that sends cute puppy pictures every day, right? I mean, that would be fun, but unless you're selling dog food, like that's not gonna cut it, right? So we always wanna start with the end in mind and make sure that when you're building these campaigns, you're actually thinking about what you want it to do. Does that make sense? So here are some possible end goals. So there are only a few on your sheet of paper, but if you do want to add, some of the ones on, okay, let me back up. I put the most important ones on your worksheet, but I added some more here. If you want to add them to your sheet, if one of these things that's not on there is important to your business, feel free to do so. So here could be a possible goal as the marketer for a particular bot campaign that you're setting up. Messenger subscribers, that's a pretty obvious one. Leads, whatever that means to your business, phone number, email address, just whatever a traditional lead means to you. Obviously new customers. Ooh, monetizing existing leads or audiences, right? So you'll see strategies in here for how to monetize and re-engage your email lists through Messenger, right? There are a lot of people who have engaged with your brand through a communication channel that they might not use a lot, right? Like I use a tool called SaneBox, S-A-N-E-B-O-X, for my email. And what it does is it even goes above what Gmail is able to do, and it blocks all promotional emails unless you want to see them. It helps me stay sane. That's what it's called. But for example, email is not the way to get a hold of me. Like that, it's just not, it doesn't work like that, right? Some people do check their email, and that's a great place to get a hold of them. But think about all of the people that might be on your email list or your Facebook pixeled audience or subscribe to you on YouTube that are interested, but you're just connected in a channel that they're not using, right? So this is something people don't think about a lot, but I'm going to show you strategies for taking your current audience and moving them over to Messenger to see if maybe that's a channel they would prefer to communicate through. Overcome barriers to purchase. You'll see an example of this. There are a few companies doing a really good job of using bots to help overcome those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that they know are always the barrier to purchase, right? I want to buy, but it's too expensive, or I'm worried about this or this. You know what those things are in your business. Bots are a great way to overcome that because it's very personal. It feels like you're talking to customer support, right? You guys will see some examples of that. Bots don't always have to directly make you money, right? But they can be used to automate a lot of things that you're probably doing manually or you're not doing, right? Like overcoming barriers to purchase. Educate your customers to decrease refund rates, churn. So bots can be used to distribute information, to remind people to do things. You'll see a bot campaign in here. Some of you guys have probably seen it if you've heard me talk about bots. It's one of my favorite ones, but it's from HubSpot, and you saw the ad before. But their entire webinar registration process was done through Messenger. And it was really powerful because it's not only easier to answer questions in Messenger versus filling out the form fields. They still got all the information they wanted. But guess what? They sent me a reminder about the webinar. They sent me a message 10 minutes before the webinar started. You better believe I'm more likely to show up because I'm actually getting those messages, right? I'm not getting the email reminder, but I'm getting those reminder messages. So think about Messenger in that way too. Because engagement and open rates are so high, what are some things in your business that you really need people to do, right? That you're wanting to remind them to decrease churn or refund rates or just something that you're trying to improve. Messenger is a really good touch point for that. And then of course, entertainment, that shouldn't be your #1 goal, but it is, Messenger does probably, depending on your brand, need to be a little bit more entertaining than your other marketing channels because again, that's what people expect and it makes it more fun, right? Cool. So these are provide better customer support too. That's huge. I mean, you saw that the number of people messaging businesses, I already forgot, I think 2 million to 8 million messages, right? A lot of those have to do with customer support because it's an easy channel to reach out. Even if you're only getting, a couple messages a month, those are going to increase because this is continuing to be a channel that people are using for that purpose. So really think about how am I providing customer support on Messenger? Really important. You can either automate it through a bot, or you could actually, make that part of your customer service team's routine. Messenger is just as important as the emails that are coming in, the phone calls that are coming in. A business wouldn't ignore a phone call. Why are we ignoring Facebook messages, right? So keep that in mind. It's a great way to provide support. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. I forgot again.
So is there a way to store these customer conversations, especially if someone's a client? So for example, in Infusionsoft, whenever I'm sending someone an email, we can use this tagger and it's tagged into Infusionsoft. So we have that history of conversations with clients. Is there a way to do that from within Facebook?
Yeah, so a tool like ManyChat can integrate with your customer service platform, whatever you're using. So like, for example, if you're using Zendesk, you could have it so that your Facebook messages are routing there. You could also, if you don't want to do that, just dedicate resources to the live chat. So this is inside of ManyChat. You see this live chat option here and we don't have it turned on right now, but this would be a record of all of the live chat conversations you've had. You can see their information, you can add tags, so yeah, exactly, you can assign them to someone else so that people aren't duplicating work. So yeah, that's totally possible, and they're really working to make this even better too. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. We talked about this, but the conversation must have personality, voice, and feel as though the consumer is talking to a real human. So I get questions a lot of, should I be forthcoming that this is a bot? The answer is it's totally up to you. There's nothing wrong with saying, I say things like, I'm so-and-so bot, my humans are away, right, to make it fun. If you want to talk to them, click this button, but otherwise, you're going to talk to me, right? But the bot still has a personality, it has a voice, it's not dry. Again, a big mistake I'm seeing people make is the copy is so dry. It's like, I don't want to talk to this person, right? Write your bot in a way that it's a person that you would want to talk to. It sounds silly, but it's so true. Here's a good example. This is a company called Kindred Bravely, KINDRED BRAVELY, I think, for those of you that are interested. I think my computer's, do you hear that?
Yeah, is that you?
I don't know. Hold on just a second, guys.
You might just be getting a lot of notifications.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think it's stopped. We'll click this. Yeah, you guys can see here, most of you have seen this before, but here's all of the subscribers. So this is where you're getting, you can click on this person. You can click on this person. It's lagging a little bit. And you can see their name, if any tags have been added, if they subscribed, where they opted in through. You can add custom fields with their email, any other data that you're trying to collect. So just to give you a little bit more insight there. Okay, I think we've stopped the pinging. But Kindred Bravely, they're a really cool company. They do clothing for pregnant moms, and at ManyChat we partnered with Facebook to do these bot makeovers, and we selected 3 businesses, and this was one of them. They're already doing a good job, but we just helped them take it to the next level, and they do such a good job of providing that personal touch that I was talking about. This is a video from their founder. It's one of the first things you get. We're here to support you. She introduces herself. Hey Molly, we're so happy you decided to join us. We're looking forward to connecting with you. In order to better serve you, please tell us where you're from, right? That's important to them. Again, they're making it about the end user, but it sounds like a message I would get from a friend, right? So the conversation must be in Messenger style, which we've talked about, using emojis and GIFs and images and videos. You can put audio files, you can do PDFs. The opportunities are really endless here inside of Messenger, so take advantage of that and make sure that you're using things other than your words to really make this a fun conversation, right? Keep that in mind. And then number 5, the consumer needs to have options and feel as though they're creating their own experience. So back to the idea of choose your own adventure, right? People love that. And I'm seeing a lot of bots that ask a few questions and then they sort of die. Like there's no other thing for the person to do. There's not another button to click. There's not another question to answer. It just sort of stops. And as a consumer, that feels kind of crappy, right? It's like, okay, what's the next thing I should do, right? So when I'm building these bots, I'm always trying to give them different options, even if the last thing is want to read our blog or listen to our podcast. Like, what is something that you can give them to go do or ask to continue that conversation so they really feel like they're creating their own experience? All of this makes sense to you guys? Awesome. Okay, cool. how much time's left on this one, Jenna?
About 10 minutes.
Perfect. This is great timing. So I just want to wrap this section up to talk about the terms of service really quick before we go into the different strategies. It's sort of dry, but it's important to understand. So what are the rules, right? And really the biggest rule or term from Facebook when it comes to Messenger is this thing called the 24+1 rule. And they, just to preface this, they understand that this is really confusing and they're working to make this easier for everyone to understand, right? So if this is confusing to you, it's confusing to a lot of people, and Facebook gets that, like they've acknowledged it, but realize they're learning with us, right? They just opened their most powerful asset that they have to marketers, right? So they're trying to figure out, how do we keep consumers happy while still letting marketers use this? So just so you guys know where they're coming from on this, right? Like it can be kind of annoying, but this is just them trying to regulate the platform. So this rule is what will keep this from being like email. So basically the rule is that you can, so let me flip here. So there are 3 types of messages that you can send inside of Facebook Messenger. So the first one here is called standard messaging, but I'm actually going to call that a promotional broadcast. Ignore that. Inside of ManyChat, it's called a promotional broadcast, and that language helps you understand this a lot better than standard messaging. I don't know why it's called that. It doesn't make sense. But promotional broadcast or promotional messages, messages can be sent. I'll just read this and explain it. So the 24+1 rule, this is really specific to this type of message. So messages can be sent during a 24-hour window for the consumer that resets anytime the person sends a message to the business. One additional bonus message, that's where the 1 comes from, 24+1, one additional bonus message may be sent outside of the 24-hour window for follow-up on the conversation. So really, if you're wanting to be promotional, which means you're asking them to buy something, essentially, what's tough is Facebook hasn't defined what promotional is. So really, my understanding is you're asking them to make a purchase, essentially, right? And especially if you're sending them off to like a sales page, that's definitely a promotional. If your message is like, we're having a 50% off flash sale this weekend, even if you're not linking off to the sales page, that's promotional, right? Use your judgment here, guys. You know what promotional means. If something feels promotional, it's promotional, right? And we want to err on the side of absolute caution with this. So the rule, if you want to be directly promotional, you can only be directly promotional within 24 hours of the last time that this person engaged with your bot. It says sending a message, but that also counts for if someone clicks a button that says yes, that essentially is them sending a message that says yes, right? Because it sends a message, right? So if they click a button, if they type a word, they have engaged with you and it resets this 24-hour clock. And you're gonna see a lot of the strategies I'm gonna share with you are around this rule. And I actually like it because you have to be a good marketer to make this work. You cannot just send people buy. It's absolutely not gonna work, and Facebook's gonna shut down your page. So you get 24 hours in this window plus 1 follow-up message. So you can follow up 1 time with a person, even if they haven't reset their clock, with something promotional. So that's the 24+1 rule, kind of confusing. Then there's subscription messaging. So subscription messaging is a different type of message. So I'll show you in ManyChat, when you send messages, you choose which of these you're sending. But a subscription message can be sent to your entire subscriber list. It just can't be promotional, like not even a little bit, right? But if you send a subscription message and it's not promotional and they engage, then you can be promotional, right? So back to the idea of giving value first, having good content, asking good questions. If you want to sell stuff through Messenger, this becomes the name of the game to get them to engage, right? So it's very different from email. Again, you can't just blast them with promotional messages. We actually have to be like really strategic about this. So again, subscription messages, no advertising, solicitations, marketing, or promo content of any kind. They're very serious about that. And then there's sponsored messaging, which most people don't know that this exists, but this is actually a type of Facebook ad where I've had a few people come up and they're like, oh, the 24-hour rule, like I'm not gonna use Messenger because of that. And I'm like, okay, you're missing out. But what they actually don't realize is that there's sponsored messaging. So if you're willing to pay Facebook to send the message, you can be directly promotional outside of the 24-hour window to your entire list. And right now it's pretty cheap. I think it's like $20 per 1,000 people that you wanna show the message to, like the CPMs kind of fluctuate. But this is an option that a lot of people don't talk about. They don't even know it's there, right? So does that make sense to you guys? So these are really the 3 different types of messages. The biggest thing you need to know is just don't be promotional outside of the 24-hour window. Like there aren't a lot of rules around this. That's really the only thing they're caring about right now. The pages that I have seen being blocked, which FYI, if you do get in trouble with Facebook about Messenger, it's good, it's not good, but a benefit is that it's just your Messenger functionality that will get paused or flagged. Your ad account isn't gonna get shut down. Your Facebook page isn't gonna get shut down, right? This is just in Messenger. They're just gonna pause and freeze your ability to send messages, right? But what they're really doing that I think is great is if you do break a rule like this, they will actually reach out to your Facebook page inbox and message you first and ask you to change it. I've seen this happen, like I've seen 2 or 3 instances where this didn't happen, but those people totally deserved it. Like there's nothing they could have changed other than like, you ain't allowed here anymore. But if you make, little mistakes, they'll message you, they'll allow you to change it, and then you just resubmit your work to them, and they usually turn it back on. So hopefully that never happens to you guys, but just so you know, Facebook does have a messenger team, and the way it works is people can mark you as spam in Messenger. So if you get more than like 3, 4, 5 people marking you as spam in a certain amount of time, it's gonna trigger one of their team members to go in and investigate what you're doing. So to my knowledge, none of this is like bot monitored like the ads are. This is real humans, but it's all triggered by consumers marking you as spam. So we'll get to this, but it's always really, really important to make sure that you're very upfront about how to unsubscribe from the bot. Because most consumers don't understand that by messaging your page that they're subscribing to anything, right? So we want to make sure that every few messages we send them, we have a PS that's like, hey, if you ever don't want to receive messages from us anymore, we'll miss you, but simply type stop, right? ManyChat has the functionality already built in that if they type stop, they're unsubscribed from the bot, right? And that's usually what I've seen makes people mad is it's usually not the message, it's usually that they just don't want to get the messages, but they're not quite sure how to unsubscribe. So, all right. And I think that's, yeah, okay.
Oh,
How much time do we have, Jenna? 2 minutes. Perfect.
Have you done much testing with the sponsored messaging? Because I feel like that would be the riskiest way to get like marked spam. It's just to kind of show up in someone's inbox being promotional.
But you wouldn't get in trouble because then the person would go in and see like, oh, they paid to send this. They were allowed to send it.
Got it, okay.
So you're allowed to do the sponsored messaging. And yes, I have tested it and it works really well. I mean, you have to pay Facebook to send it. But honestly, guys, I don't have this in writing, but Facebook's gonna turn this into a pay to message, right? That's absolutely what they're gonna do. So this is the first step in that, right? And that shouldn't scare you guys. Like that is just part of how they're gonna monetize the platform. So it's really good to build these subscriber lists now and to really get, I would say if I had to guess, that would happen in December if I had to guess. Mm-hmm. So, really get your strategies down now And then when they switch, they're going to test the model first, of course, right? It's not just going to be like, everyone pays to send messages, They'll test the model, and if it works for advertisers and it works for them, they'll make it pay to play. So this is the first iteration of that. What's your question?
I know that they have in ManyChat subscription, promotion, and follow-up. And every time you choose one of them, ManyChat tells you how many users is going to be sent to. Is that safe to send it to those people promotional if you put in promotional?
Absolutely. So let me show you guys this. So these are the 3 types of messages here. So and let me explain this. The sponsored message that we just talked about, the pay to play thing, that's done in Facebook Ads Manager. So that has nothing to do with ManyChat. Okay. But the 3 things they have right here, this is the subscription broadcast, right? Subscription broadcast messages can't contain ads, right? ManyChat's like, don't do it. So this is gonna send to your entire list, right? Unless, of course, you wanted to go in and say, I only want to send it to people who have, my internet's being slow, but this tag, right? Then it's going to narrow that down. So, say we wanted whatever tag, this would narrow this down to that number, right? So that's subscription broadcast. You guys understand that. Obviously, that can't be promotional. That's how people are getting banned. It's like, guys, come on, read. But promotional broadcast, this is, you can be directly promotional, and you'll see that ManyChat has a lot of subscribers, so it's going to take a minute, but it will pare this down to people who have engaged in the last 24 hours, right? So this is, to answer your question, totally safe.
Okay.
That's why this is here, right?
I was still freaking out when I see it. I was like, do I send it? No, I'm not going to.
Yeah, so you can see we went from like 2 million subscribers down to 13,000 because that's how many people who have engaged in the past 24 hours. So ManyChat will keep you safe there. Yes, Noah? Craig, why do I keep calling you Noah?
Maybe I went to my nephew's Noah. Maybe that's it.
Who knows?
Okay, so you're familiar with HubSpot. You're familiar with their kind of funnel of educate, and when you get all the way down to the bottom of the funnel, it's, hey, shoot somebody a case study. Is that promotional? And where in sort of a content marketing strategy do you become promotional?
So explain the case study thing one more time.
So, if I think about content marketing, talk about capture somebody on nature of the problem, and then a little bit further down the funnel, maybe here are 5 different solutions to the problem. By the way, number 5 is our solution. Right. And then down at the bottom of the funnel is, okay, here's our solution, here's how it benefited this company. Would you like to download this case study?
Is that promotional? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
that's not promotional as long as it's not just full of like, buy this, I would even try to put the case study in Messenger. I'll show you some examples of some people who have put videos in Messenger, images, testimonials. That's a lot better than sending them off to a page. Just think about the experience from the end user. It's a lot better to integrate it in Messenger when you can. But I mean, I would have to look at exactly what you're doing, but I would say that a case study is no problem in terms of, I don't think Facebook would see that as promotional unless they click over to the page. Right. Okay. So sorry, I can't give you like a solid answer there, but I'd be happy to look at it. Craig, sorry about that.
Before we go to break, I have one more.
Yeah.
Note